Jay-Z once said, "Don't ever go with the flow. Be the flow." This idea of flow is often discussed as a way to get into creative states or a way to be that chill person in the group. But I speculate that this flow is greater than all of us. It might even just be us. Lao Tzu once said that nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. In a world where we are rushing to the next meeting or item on our to do list, slowing down and releasing this programming is challenging. Taoism talks a lot about slowing down, and in the last 2 years, I've been trying to do just that. I quit my job, sold my car, and moved to Bali for a year. I opened myself up to Eastern practices and tried to live out a lot of new perspectives. It's easy to want to resist our current realities, though. The world tells us that there isn't enough or that we need more or are bad in some way. The ultimate rebellion is to love and accept yourself in the moment and to accept your life exactly as it is, right now. A lot of us feel like we're trying to fulfill our purpose. Like there's some prophecy or our destiny. And I think a lot of the time in my meditations, psychedelic experiences, I'm searching for some answer sometimes. Like people have to give me this blueprint for my own life. And a lot of the time, it's always a really comical experience because there isn't one. At least in my experience, it's always funny. It's always laughable because I always get the message or the download or whatever that it's completely up to me and I can make it whatever I want. I think living in this flow that is us is inevitable. It's who we are. It's the very fabric of humans, of nature, of the universe. And I think this is a difficult thing for us to practice, this ability to live our lives in this flow. And I think creativity happens to be one that is so much easier. When you start out making something, maybe you even have a plan, but you end up making something entirely different because you're just allowing things to come in, allowing yourself to be inspired, not having to stick to the rigidity of life, of plans, and allowing yourself to change and transform with the flow. And I think it's one of the most beautiful things. I mean, truly, when you really think about it, it is such a gorgeous unfolding and you can feel it as it's happening. And I think there are ways for us to practice that in small ways, whether that be doing art, I think is such a great practice already for transmuting energy. But I think it's a way for us to practice this flow and makes it easier to translate that into our lives. Try it. Look at everything you currently want and how you desire yourself or your reality to be different, and then release it. It's like a breath of fresh air. I interpret the flow as the dance or the Tao or the universe. I don't really think words can ever do it justice. When we sink into this flow, we can let go of what we are and become what we might be. We can feel our intuition or inner guidance systems with greater ease. We are led to synchronicities and lessons. The more I think about these philosophies or spiritual concepts, the more I think we're all already doing it. You're already in flow. If you and I are the flow, then it's our nature, our destiny. While we may resist it, the flow is inevitable. There's no wrong way or wrong choice. We're always right on schedule. So with that, let us surrender to the flow, to ourselves. And I feel like every time something sort of not good happens, or we're in some negative pattern or spin or part of life, whether it's in our control or not, it's easy to think that we're on the wrong path or that we did something wrong. But the more that we stop resisting those things, the more that we can feel ourselves sink into that flow and allow ourselves to be in this experience and be present with it. And I think the less that it will control us. I think a lot of the negativity, the more that we try to hide it from ourselves and bury it, the more that it can grow in these dark parts of us and the more it controls our lives. The idea that there's one answer or one way for anything or for living, I think is a interesting byproduct of our society. And we're not super accepting of all these different ways of experiencing life, which makes sense. We're all mirrors for one another. We're all triggering each other, and it's difficult, and we resist it, we judge it, we shame it, both in ourselves and in our external world, whether that be situations or other human beings. And so I think flow is allowing it, but also accepting it and allowing that flow, whether that be people that we come in contact with, these relationships, the things we do in our day, the thoughts and feelings that arise, all of our life. There's so much happening inside of us and outside of us. And I think all it's saying, whether this is Taoism or a lot of the spiritual teachings, is to accept it. Now, that doesn't mean you don't do anything, which is a big part of Taoism or the Wu Wei, and being able to find that middle that Lao Tzu was always talking about. The middle is the way. It's balance.